Keep your senses. Be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking to devour someone. Keep your senses. Be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking to devour someone.
Ryan is at it again, and you'll see the fundamental flaw Ryan has where he makes an argument but isn't able to prove or follow his own argument and then shifts to a different one. In logic and reasoning, this is what we call a red herring fallacy. Let's look that up. And what's going to help us is the website Logically Fallacious. And this is how they define red herring: attempting to redirect the argument to another issue to which the person doing the redirecting can better respond. While it is similar to avoiding the issue fallacy, the red herring is a deliberate diversion of attention with the intention of trying to abandon the original argument. In my video, you'll see the repetitive and redundancy over and over, where you don't forget Ryan's thesis and main point that he couldn't prove.
I guess George tried to save him. Oh,
Okay.
it loaded. It loaded. Okay, so now I gotta find this.
George to the rescue.
Yeah, because it seems like Austin really kind of doesn't understand what he believes, and George comes in to save him.
Mm-hmm.
Just going off what we kind of seen, because even the conversations we had, he doesn't even let Austin talk. Right or wrong?
Wrong.
I know when somebody has a strong arm on somebody, they listen.
Oh yeah, because one thing he did say, because remember how we was talking about it, how he asked for the scholar and then he was gone for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I came back and like 3 minutes after, right?" So then I'm like, okay, let me go back and listen. And I guess he did. But he said he said hello, but we were having a conversation and nobody heard him.
Okay.
It was like kind of like a light hello, but I'm like, why wouldn't you stop the conversation and say, hey, I'm back, I got sources? He didn't do that. So like 3 minutes in, he came back and just said hello,
Well, that's a lie.
and then stayed quiet for another like 5 minutes. I'm like, you should have,
Yeah.
How do we know if something actually happened?
Jay,
George, how many apologists
David.
would Jehovah's Witnesses have? George,
uh,
how many apologists did Jehovah's Witnesses have?
I don't know.
0. How many scholars do they have?
Such a random question.
What do we need scholars?
0.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Hold
yeah.
on.
We know everything about the Bible, so we don't need scholars, right?
Hold on.
Yeah.
No, Austin, listen to the ridiculous statement he's saying. He's asking me, how many apologists do Jehovah's Witnesses have? I don't know every Jehovah's Witness. There's several. I have several friends that are apologists.
Yeah.
That debunks your point.
Thank you,
Hold
Giovanni.
on. Now
Salute,
you're
Giovanni.
qualifying it. Now he's qualifying it.
Popular,
Hold on now.
you know what I mean.
Hold on. No, I didn't know what you meant.
How could I read his mind? I didn't know what he meant. He just asked a specific question and I answered it.
I didn't know what you mean. So there are apologists. So that debunks your point there. And you ask, how many scholars do we have?
Yeah.
I know several scholars that are Jehovah's Witnesses.
Name me one.
One, Rolf Forley. How about that?
Who?
Rolf, R-O-L-F, Forley, F-U-R-L-I. He had many public.
What work has he done?
Oh, he had many works. He's
Like
a biblical scholar in Oslan.
Okay, name me one of his works.
Oh, hold on. I have several. Hold on.
And he's a committed Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. Shout out to Giovanni, because I'm with you, Giovanni. Like, get back to that. Get back to justifying
George,
that.
There'll
I
never
mean,
be
like,
an uncommitted witness.
What's that?
There's not any Jehovah's Witnesses that are committed. Sorry, I'm eating, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
I was trying to make a point earlier, but somehow you guys blacked me off, so it's all good.
You kept going in and out, kept falling off.
That's not why. You you didn't want me to black George off. You know that.
No, we wouldn't do
No.
that.
I want you to speak more. But do you see how Revelation 14 from the Greek cannot mean any women?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't made any research on that topic, so
How?
I don't want to comment on something that I'm not sure
So
because
was that the first time that you heard something of that nature as it relates to what George presented?
um no no no
So you've
no.
heard that understanding that women weren't potentially defiled by other women, where we're inserting the concept of lesbianism. So
I said,
you've heard that before.
I haven't looked that up because
I know that you haven't
it was
looked at it.
I haven't looked that up because I haven't looked into it because it's never been
I got
any
you.
on my it never was any of my concern.
Got you. But
Who
have you heard?
or
But have you
what
heard about it before?
what gender? No, I've never heard of that. You know, I've been
Okay,
going out in
there it is.
service preaching,
Got you.
and
Okay.
no one has ever asked questions regarding
Okay,
that.
But
so
that's
I
the
appreciate
sad
that,
part.
Austin. Thank you.
That's the
Austin.
sad part because
Mm-hmm.
you're telling people they can't go to heaven and they wouldn't be there, and your justification would be that verse. And it's sad that you wouldn't really look into that. So when
Mm-hmm.
they're telling you, well, these men and women can go,
Well,
but
I
you
look
can't
into it.
go.
Listen, Brian.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you won't ever look into it, but you just told me you've been a witness your whole life, and they're
Mm-hmm.
literally shutting the door of heaven in your face.
No, no,
Closing
no,
the
no,
door,
no, no, no.
closing the
That
doors
doesn't
of
mean
kingdom.
being with a witness doesn't mean I know everything from top to bottom.
right. Yeah.
You have it.
No.
You have it
We're
wrong.
not saying that.
You
We're not saying that.
you stating that you guys stating that you know everything. I
Ooh.
said I've been going out in service. I've talked to different people from different background. Nobody has ever asked me any questions, to that nature. So
Yeah.
it's not something I looked into to give you a response, the response that you would really need. I don't have a response to it, so I'm not going to give you something that I don't know.
Oh no,
I don't know. I don't
No.
even know what the. I don't even know what Watchtower says in regards to that because I never looked that up. This is something that never crossed my mind. Who or not going to be part of the 144,000? It's never been any of my concern.
I'm saying you should know that before you even signed
Mhm.
up. Before you was at that convention and got ducked in the water and came out.
No.
You should have known
No,
that.
no.
Austin,
I
let
picked
me address Dave.
No. I got the truth before I even get to that because there's a lot of stuff that you guys are preaching that's non-biblical. That doesn't make any sense. So I've got the truth. I've got the truth way before. I've got the truth way before that. Way before I get to Revelation.
Before you got.
As you can see, Austin was defending himself on what Ryan said, and what a silly comment Ryan claimed because the average self-proclaimed Christian can't identify the 144,000, which is to take it literal or symbolic. There's no agreement even in mainstream Christianity because Christians can't identify who the 144,000s are. It doesn't prevent them to becoming Christians. That's silly. But clearly, I tried to bring the subject back, but the topic was changed, and I didn't think it was significant at all. In fact, it was simple-minded and irrelevant. But just for giggles and laughs, let's have Amazon.com help us out to locate these scholars that I was trying to bring up. Let's see. Okay, so right here, Brian Holt. He has a publication. It's an excellent book, Jesus, God or the Son of God, a comparison of the argument. And people who purchase the book, for example, states this. This book is written from a perspective of a Jehovah's Witness. Holt discusses verses that Trinitarians use to prove that Jesus is God and identifies flaws in their argument. He shows that many of their arguments are nothing more than circular reasoning. For example, Trinitarians translate a verse that shows or strongly suggests that Jesus be God, and then use this verse to prove that Jesus is God. Holt also discusses verses that show that Jesus is not God. It's a great publication. But this, I would consider Brian Holt an apologist, one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and he has a publication. You heard that, Dave? Another one, Edgar G. Foster. He has a book, Investigating Life's Meaning, Philosophical, Theological, and Historical Introduction. He has another publication, Christology and the Trinity. And this is a great book right here. Angelomorphic Christology of the Exegesis of Psalm chapter 8 verse 5 in Tertullian's Adversus, Paraxen, and Examination. Regarding his credentials, he's currently a professor. Let's see, in this publication, I think it does mention his credentials and where he's at currently. Dr. Edgar G. Foster studied classical languages and philosophy at Lenoir Rhine University in theology, with a focus of ancient church history at the University of Glasgow. He has been student of ethics, theology, and the ancient world for almost 30 years. He is considered a bona fide scholar. Roman A. Montero, and he has his publication, All Things in Common, Jesus Manifesto. All Things in Common, the Economic Practices of the Early Christians. And even Robert Bowman, who is a Christian apologist, recognizes him as an apologist. This is what Robert Bowman wrote, just briefly. Roman Montero, a Jehovah's Witness blogger, recently published a series of 4 blogs posts that provide some good object lessons on how not to defend Jehovah's Witness theology, lessons that we as evangelicals can also apply to ourselves. Roman was responding to my article in which I challenged non-Trinitarians to defend their position. The article was recently reposted on Fred Anson's blog, Beggar's Bread. Furpo Carr. Now with Furpo Carr, it's hard to keep up with his writings. He has so many publications. The Theology Behind Scientific Thought, Volume 1. The Divine Name Controversy. A History of Jehovah's Witnesses from a Black American Perspective. And let's see, Search of Sacred Name, Modern Matthew, Good News of Today. And I think he's translating his own New Testament. It's on his website. He has many publications. Like I say, it's hard to keep up with his writings. We have Howard Mazzaferro. Now, I would use caution with Howard Mazzaferro in this book, My Letters. He doesn't identify himself as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but says that they have the same beliefs, so he defends it. See, the Lord in the Tetragrammaton. At this point, I'm not sure if he got baptized or not. Greek New Testament. Oh, I'm not sure if this is his own translation. I don't know. But the reason why it's I would use for caution on this, because he participates in debates with atheists debunking Christianity, and this is how they would state. They talk about him. Howard Mazzaferro is a Jehovah's Witness scholar of sorts who comments here at debunking Christianity. Harry McCall puts his culturally adopted faith into perspective with what I consider required reading. What I find interesting is that Evangelicals reject the Jehovah's Witnesses, but would accept everything Mazzavero writes in defense of faith, reliability of the Bible, and the miracles we read in it. Why is it that people of faith cannot agree? Well, I would use caution, but he certainly is a defender of Jehovah's Witnesses, and some call him a Watchtower sympathizer. Anthony Byatt, in his publication, New Testament Metaphors, and these, I'm not sure if they're biblical related. And we have Hale Fleming's Examining Criticisms of the Bible. He makes his defense that how the reliable the Bible is. In this publication, a philosophical, scientific, and theological defense for the notion that God exists. Hale Fleming, from my understanding, he used to be a Hebrew professor. Wow. But he is one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And in this book, from the two previous witnesses that I've mentioned, they also have this book, Your Word is Truth, Essays, Celebration of the 5th Anniversary of the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. This is a defense of how reliable the New World Translation is, and just how one person who purchased the book stated. The book is a collection of essays written by Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a variety of apologists and scholars. As Dave mentioned, there's none that shows his ignorance. But it says the book is a collection of essays written by Jehovah's Witnesses from around the world that deal specifically with matters of Christian doctrine of the New World Translation. One of the editors, Anthony Byatt, also has good reference work on the New Testament metaphors, which I already displayed. The essays deal with the following doctrinal issues: the consistency of the New World Translation, the use of the divine name, the theological importance of the name Jehovah, biblical truths of the soul and hell, the accuracy of translation Paul's letters to the Ephesians. The introduction suggests that the book is for scholarly non-witnesses who want deeper answers to questions, but this is an excellent reference book for any Bible student. This whole discussion is silly. Obviously, Dave didn't do enough research. I mean, this was a waste of time. But this just shows the ignorance in the blanket statements that Paniel has, especially for Dave for making an uninformed comment like that. It was silly. Let's get back.
So this is what we was talking about. This is what they say. Georgia said at the top, everything we discussed, you were wrong point by point. So I said, I never discussed it with you, George. What are you referring to? Austin got caught using verses for the anointed only when he tried to explain why witnesses are required to go door to door to be saved, when the Bible never says that. I said, there's no verse that says you are required to go door to door, but the Watchtower says if you don't, you can't even be baptized. That's what the that scholar he quoted. I said that's what the guy exposed, because it's just man-made rules.
Right, right here, he's lying. Rolf Rowley never made such a claim. He sides with me in his book, My Beloved Religion and the Governing Body. He sides with me on this point as far as preaching. Let's look up his publication. My Beloved Religion and the Governing Body. And if we could read the content, see the religion of the Bible. And how can we identify the true religion? And what does he have right here? Preaching God's kingdom worldwide. Page 22. Let's see what he says about this, Ryan. Let's see. Preaching God's kingdom worldwide. In his great prophecy about his future presence and his coming as the judge of the end of his presence, Jesus speaks of his true followers using the pronoun you in the plural. One side of the composite sign of the presence of Jesus is found in Matthew chapter 24, verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. The only denomination that fulfills this prophecy is Jehovah's Witnesses. In 2019, 8,683,117 witnesses used 2,088,560,437 hours to preach the good news of the kingdom. And his preaching this preaching occurred in 240 lands. This represents an enormous preaching campaign where the good news of the kingdom is spread systematically in every country. In other Christian denominations, the priests preach from their pulpits, in their churches, in their buildings. But there is no other religious group where every member is a preacher who is participating in a worldwide preaching campaign. You shouldn't be relying on other people, sir, just to try to win an argument with your mendacious propaganda. You don't know Rolf. You never read any of his material, so just stop. You're lying.